Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing my 161st Mezco Toyz 112 Collective action figure review, this time being of Hawk P-40 Howling Fury Edition. Now take a look at the front, we can see that Hawk P-40 is in that standard Rumble Society box packaging. And if we open the lid, we're showed some really great artwork of Hawk P-40. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let them breathe. Alright guys, now let's check out the new Hawk P-40 Howling Fury Edition from Mezco. Now here's the thing with this. Hawk P-40 isn't, I don't know, an extremely popular character in the Mezco community. I get it. I still thought the original design was pretty cool. It was very unique. You know, I wouldn't say I love it, but I do think it was very unique and very different from what Mezco normally gives us when it comes to their original IP stuff. So that in that way, it's a really good thing. But just the design is like weird, but not necessarily weird in a great way. Weird in a cool way, I guess. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's hard to explain because I do like the design overall, but it just didn't really hit with a lot of people for whatever reason. You know, I get it, and it did have some problems and things like that with like the weapons and stuff. And you'll see what I mean with this one, since this is pretty much just a recolor for the most part. It has a lot of those same problems, especially with the weapons and things like that, and I'll show you those shortly. But this does look cool. I do like the gold actually used for the figure itself. Things like the arms with the little silver studs and things like that all over the place. For that, looks really good. I do really love the head sculpt here. I thought the head sculpt for the first one was, again, they're the exact same head sculpt, just different paint. I thought it looked so cool. So again, I love the gold, the more military green on top, the black for the, I don't know, maybe that's a visor. Maybe he sees it out there. Maybe these hurt his eyes. I don't think any of us really know. So it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's interesting. Now you got those like vents in there in the back. He does have a belt this time around. He's in a completely different type of suit. This is more like a jumpsuit. So almost like more like a flight suit, which is kind of cool. So really nice boots here too. The boots look really good. I do love that. You got pegals and tread on the feet. So everything looks really nice. He does have his dog tags that you could get separately in the box. So you just put those on. Those look really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the original Hawk P-40 right here. And we can see a side-by-side comparison. This one was, again, really cool because it still has that almost like pilot-like motif. You know, you got the aviator, a leather jacket with the inlining, the fuzzy inlining, which I thought was really cool. He had a little propeller belt, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of this like digital camo. I don't think that really worked with this design, in my opinion. But still the same boots. And all this looks really good. Again, just in silver. This one's in gold. He had this really awesome logo on the back of his vest, which I think is really rad. Again, they're all pretty much the exact same thing with just the different suits. It's really all really comes down to when it comes to differences. You know what I mean? The paint and then the actual jumpsuit itself. And again, the colors work okay. It's kind of weird seeing like bright gold and military green colors and black. You know, I don't know. It's okay. It's not great. I was personally hoping for like a stealth bomber edition, maybe with like flat blacks would mix with like polished blacks and maybe touches of silver. I think that would have been cool. But they gave us this version, the Howling Fury edition, whatever that is. I'm assuming that's just some kind of gold plane. I don't know what the homage is to or whatever. But still, it's okay. Again, if you love the Hawk P-40, the first one, you're most likely gonna like this one. If you weren't really into that first one, I really don't see this one being much different. So now moving on to accessories, we of course get the circular base stand with the same art we saw in the box there, with Hawk P-40, and you got these like gold planes flying around. That works okay, but it's still, I do love these stands. They're very solid, and of course you do get the clear articulated arm as well. We do get interchangeable hands here. We got closed-fisted hands and open palm hands and stylized posing hands and kind of gripping hands, stuff like that. Those are pretty cool too. They all work very nicely and they're all very well painted. We also do get little individual gold grenades, little pineapple grenades. Those are really nice too. And my fat fingers are just, it's so hard to show things off with my big fat fingers. So I apologize. You do get 3 of those. We do get a nice little wrench that's golden, like that gunmetal almost, and then a nice silver, or excuse me, black and silver knife right there. He does have a little pouch right here on the side. It's a little tricky to get open, but you can take that, and then you can take that knife and just slide that knife in there, and then trying to clasp that back up with the knife inside is a little tricky, but you can get it, and it holds it in there just fine. So that's pretty much where that knife is going to stay for the rest of its life, because I don't really see myself actually posing him on my shelf with that. We also do get the same bazooka that we've seen with Mezco a few times before. It's really nice. It's done in casted in more like a black plastic, excuse me. Then it does have the silver wash over it. I think that looks really, really good. And it's a really nice sculpt. One of the issues that I do have here, I do have his gripping hand on here. And this was the same thing with the first Hawk P-40. We don't have an actual trigger finger hand, and you can see how small of a grip this gripping hand is. And you can see how wide of a handle that actually is right there. And you can get it on there like no problem, it'll stay. It just doesn't look as natural as I would like. Again, it's not an actual trigger finger. And honestly, since the hands are gummy, they will stretch, but the hands aren't really meant to hold that specific weapon. But again, I still think it looks cool if you want to get some straight poses out of it. I kind of wish we had some rocket effects like we did with like a Harley Quinn figure and a couple other figures. I think that would have been pretty dope too. But Mezco decided to cheap out on us. It is what it is. But we also do get my favorite accessory here, which is going to be this awesome Gatling gun. I do think this thing is awesome. It is the same Gatling gun we've seen before, just done in this really nice gunmetal. You can see some like almost like rust right there on the actual barrels and stuff like that. But the addition of the gold, this does rotate. It looks really cool. Here's the standard version, more like military-esque. You see those military greens, some rust to it. It looks a lot more dirty and grungy. You know what I mean? This one's a little more polished and shiny and clean. A little bit more, not a lot, but a little bit more. But it still looks really, really cool. We do get two of these mags here with the bullets. I'm guessing, I don't know exactly what these called. Again, I'm not really much of a gun guy, I'm more of a sword guy. But these plug in to the gun like that, and that's what feeds this gun the bullets, which I think is pretty cool. This little piece right here does fold up because that's going to help clip into the arm here. And then we do get hoses that attach to the gun that peg into the back of the gun like so, and then they'll connect into the back of the head like that. I'm not going to do that right now because I've done it before and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So if you want to see that, go check out my old Hawk P-40 review. It's on there. And then how this is going to work, you're going to kind of just take this hand here like this, and then you can push it in like that and give it a little twist. And this little piece is going to kind of wrap around the arm because it's going to be almost like more of like a support system, because it's going to give you some leverage to hold on to that weapon. But the thing is, I'm noticing with this one, it holds if you do it right, but the arm is kind of like crooked or misshapen, so you can't really get it like straight. I'm trying to get it straight like this, like that, but then you can kind of see how like the shoulder is like sticking outward. It's in a really odd position. Maybe it looks good to you. For me in hand, it just doesn't feel right. But again, you could do that, and I still think it looks really cool when you have them posed on a shelf like that. We also do get different blast effects, which I think is really cool. So you could take these, and then you get little ports and little holes like that. So those are pretty awesome. These are the same effects we've seen before. We got this one too, which is really nice. I love that burst effect. But probably my favorite accessory is going to be this interchangeable head. Now this does have the little communication thing right here, a walkie-talkie, whatever it may be, that's just separate. But you could pop that in there like that. And this is, again, the same head that we've seen before. This one is done more of in a military green, which I think looks really cool. This one looks really nice too. It's done more of like a gunmetal gold accents and things like that. So this is really, really awesome. This thing does have an articulated jaw, and you can see it has like the grinder in there and the teeth and all that stuff. So that's actually really cool. So for this particular figure, just pop that off and pop this one on like that. You can open the mouth a little bit. And there you go. And now this is how I'm going to display my Howling Fury Hawk P-40. So now I have a way to display it with this head and a way to display it with this head, because now this feels like two different characters in my opinion. They're similar enough but different enough to feel like two completely different figures, you know what I mean? So this is the way I'm going to display them. Again, that head sculpt I think is so cool. It's pretty much like a tank. I think that's rad. We also get another effect piece like this that you actually export into here. You can use pretty much any of the effect pieces. We could pop that on and make it look like he's shooting something out of his face, which I think is crazy, so I do dig that a lot. But yeah, man, I think if you do have that first Hawk and you want, you know, and you are picking up this one, I think this is the way to go, or maybe switch, do vice versa. But I am definitely displaying him with this freaking tank head because I think that thing looks great. That is honestly my favorite aspect of this whole figure. So now moving on to articulation, I'm just going to leave that on because again, I'm going to use that head. The head goes up and down on a ball peg. You get a double ball peg actually that rolls around very nicely. Does turn left and right. Again, the jaw on this one does articulate, which I think is really cool, so I do dig that aspect. Arms can go full 360 like that, up and out that far. The bicep does swivel on its own. This shoulder piece is actually on a little hinge right there attached to the bicep, so this can kind of get out of the way like that. That's both a bad thing and a good thing in my opinion, because I don't like the way it's positioned. This whole pad is really pushed forward towards the front, so there's not really much in the back. It just doesn't look lined up to me, because like I feel like this logo should line up with this circle right here, but it's not, because so you can tell it's pushed forward when I feel like it should be up and down straight like that. That's just a nitpick for me. We do get double jointed elbows that work very nicely, rotation at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist. We do get a double ball peg in the midsection that rolls around pretty nicely, turns left and right a little, crunches back and forth, and pivots side to side a tiny bit. Hip joints that kick forward that much, back about that far, splits out very nice. That actually works really, really good. Rotation in the upper thigh, double jointed knees, boot rotation, ankles are on ball pegs to go up, down, pretty decent ankle rocker. Actually, I wish that was a little better. And then rotate left and right. So overall, you know, I don't know. Again, I feel like this figure is good for what it is. I'm trying to judge it just for what it is. I didn't need this figure, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody was screaming for a new version of Hawk P-40. I know this is going to be dumb to say. I would have preferred another Gomez. That's just me. People are going to hate on me right away now. But yes, I could have used a 15th Gomez figure for whatever reason. But, you know, I'm still glad that I got it. Again, this does give me an option to display him as a completely different character with the differences of the look, the different head. You know, and now I can have both of them displayed to make it look like they're different characters. These guys are definitely going to be like my gear heads on my shelf, so I think that's pretty cool. I do like the paint apps for the most part. The jumpsuit looks a little weird. The colors don't really work for me all that much. And actually, you know what? I want to try something real quick. I just want to see how this more like military green head would work on there. And ooh, that's a really tight fit for some reason. It kind of works a bit with the green jumpsuit. You know what I mean? A little bit. But yeah, I'm probably just going to stick with this one. I do like this one quite a bit. But still, again, not the best figure in the world, not Mezco's best, but I still do like it for what it is. So for a quick comparison, here he is standing next to the original Lee's Hawk P-40 from Mezco Toyz. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Howling Fury Hawk P-40. Now overall, I am very torn with this piece. It's by no means a bad figure. The quality is still there. The sculpt is still a lot of fun and very unique and very interesting, and I really do love both head sculpts. The soft goods are very nicely done, and I love the detail on all the different weapons here. But I mean, again, how many of us really wanted or needed another Hawk P-40? Not a bad character by any means, I just know the masses weren't dying for a new version, and a gold and military green version, honestly not something I was anticipating. He's still decent for what he is, but he still has issues. Like honestly, he does not have the proper hands to hold his weapons, and connecting those hoses to that Gatling gun to his head, and then posing him in a good way is just almost impossible. It's not all that fun. And that's one of the big factors with this thing. He looks interesting and unique, but he's just not a ton of fun for me. He really is a cool looking figure, and that's pretty much the only thing I have for this guy, is that he's really cool looking. I love his accessories and stuff, but he pretty much is just cool looking. He's not fun to play with for me. I don't like the colors all that much, even though they are well done. So again, I'm just very torn with this piece. It's by no means a terrible figure. It's just not a very top tier Mezco figure I was hoping to get. So hey, if you missed out on the first Hawk and you want a new one, this is the one to get. Or if you really love this character and you want a second version like I'm doing with a different head, then I think you'll love him too. But for me, he can go either way. If you do pick him up, I still think you'll enjoy him for your collection. So be excellent to each other and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.